So how is it possible for one unexpected visitor over just one single evening to completely change a person's entire way of seeing the world? I mean, really seeing it. That's the question at the heart of Raymond Carver's classic short story, Cathedral. And it's this incredible story about the huge difference between just looking at things and truly seeing them.
And here's where we start. This is literally one of the first lines of the story. So right away, we're inside our narrator's head, and, it is not a welcoming place. He's cynical, he's full of prejudice, and this one sentence, it just sets up the entire conflict. The real story here isn't about a blind man visiting. It's about the narrator's own profound internal blindness.
All right, so we have a man in his house, completely trapped by his own limited vision. But who is this guy? Well, you've got to picture him living in this little self-made bubble. He's pretty isolated, drinks a fair bit, and his entire idea of what a blind person is like, it comes from the movies. That's it. And what's so brilliant is that Carver's famous, really bare-bones writing style, it perfectly mirrors this guy's empty life. There are no extra details, because, well, his world is just that small. He's expecting a stereotype to walk through the door, not a real person.
And this contrast between him and his wife is absolutely key. I mean, look at this. For the narrator, the visitor, Robert, is just a stereotype, this obligation he has to deal with. But for his wife, Robert is a lifeline. This is a deep friendship they've built over 10 years, sharing their entire lives back and forth on audio tapes. The fact that our narrator just can't wrap his head around this bond, and is even kind of jealous of it, that tells you everything you need to know about the emotional distance in his own marriage.
So the blind man arrives, and this is the encounter that's going to defy all of his expectations. The doorbell rings, Robert's here, and this is the exact moment where the whole story pivots. All of the narrator's flimsy, movie-based ideas, they're about to come crashing head-on into reality, and believe me, it happens fast.
And right away, Robert just completely shatters every single stereotype the narrator has. I mean, he shows up with a full beard, he travels by himself, he's wearing a sports coat for crying out loud. He's laughing, he's joking, he is absolutely not the tragic figure the narrator had built up in his head. He's just a guy, a person. And it's this brilliant way of showing how the narrator's prejudices are built on absolutely nothing. He's not meeting a disability, he's meeting a man.
Okay, so now we're into the awkward evening, this painful search for some kind of common ground. You'd think seeing the reality of who Robert is would snap the narrator out of it, right? But nope, he just can't shake his discomfort. And as the evening goes on, he manages to make everything just so incredibly awkward. Robert is being perfectly pleasant, but the conversation is just stiff and stilted. It's a real struggle.
And pretty soon the drinks start flowing, and they're flowing pretty heavily. For our narrator, this is how he copes. It's his go-to move for numbing himself through any experience he finds uncomfortable. It's really just his way of trying to stay inside that little bubble of his. Then comes dinner, and the narrator is just watching. He's almost in shock as Robert eats with this genuine enthusiasm, using a fork, a knife, the whole shebang. It's another one of these small, seemingly tiny things, but for the narrator, it's another stereotype just getting dismantled right in front of him. He is literally amazed that a blind man can just eat dinner like a normal person.
But this question right here, this might just be the peak of his ignorance. Seriously, he actually asks Robert which side of the train he sat on to get the best view. Can you believe it? He is so trapped in his own visual world that he can't even begin to imagine how someone else might experience a simple train ride. It is just such a painfully awkward, cringeworthy moment.
So after dinner, the narrator's wife eventually just dozes off on the couch, and that leaves the two men alone together. The TV's on in the background, but the space between them is just filled with this heavy silence. The narrator has totally run out of clumsy questions to ask, and at this point, any kind of real connection just seems completely, utterly impossible.
And now we get to it. Drawing a cathedral. The moment of connection. Because just when you think there's no hope, that a real connection is impossible, something shifts in that heavy silence. A documentary about cathedrals happens to be on the television, and this is where the story's quiet magic really begins.
So the narrator tries to describe what he's seeing on the screen, but his words just completely fail him. I mean, think about it. How do you describe something as massive and complex as a cathedral to someone who has never seen one? How do you possibly bridge that kind of gap when your main tools, sight and language, just aren't up to the job? And this is where Robert comes up with this just brilliant idea. He tells the narrator, hey, let's draw one.
So the narrator finds an old paper bag and a pen. And then Robert does something amazing. He places his hand on top of the narrator's drawing hand. So as they start to draw, Robert can feel every single line. This is no longer about one person explaining and the other just listening. It's a truly collaborative act. They are literally building this cathedral together on a grocery bag, one line at a time.
And this leads to the climax of the entire story, seeing without sight, the narrator's big epiphany. Because in this shared, physical act of drawing, something truly profound unlocks inside the narrator. He's about to have a genuine, life-altering breakthrough.
As they're getting into it, finishing the drawing, Robert gives him a very simple but totally radical instruction. He just says, close your eyes. Think about that. He's asking the narrator to abandon his primary, most trusted sense, the only way he knows how to experience the world, and to just keep drawing, to just feel it.
And this is the result. This quote is everything. My eyes were still closed. I was in my house, I knew that, but I didn't feel like I was inside anything. For the very first time, the narrator escapes the prison of his own perspective. The walls of his house, the walls of his prejudices, they just dissolve. He's finally truly experiencing something beyond the narrow little confines of his own vision.
So, what the narrator has here is what we call a classic literary epiphany. It's this moment of sudden, huge revelation. And we're not just talking about a small change of heart, okay? This is a fundamental shift in how he sees himself, how he sees Robert, and really, the very nature of human connection itself. After a whole story of being blind, he finally, truly sees. And when his wife wakes up and sees them, she asks what on earth they're doing. And the narrator, well, he can't even explain it. With his eyes still closed, all he can manage to say is this: it's really something. It's so simple, so understated, but it's loaded with meaning. His language fails him one last time. But you know what? This time, it's not from ignorance. It's because the experience is just too big, too profound for words.
And that's really what Carver leaves us with in the end. This story, it isn't just about this one guy's transformation, is it? It kind of pushes us to look at ourselves and ask, hey, when have I been blind to the world that's right in front of me? What are my own blind spots? What prejudices or assumptions are keeping me from really truly connecting with the people around me? It's really something to think about, isn't it?